A warm welcome and a big hello from Cape Town, South Africa, on this beautiful Friday, the 20th of January 2023. There's a strange phenomenon these days. The number of people with titles like apostle and prophet. There's a great number of prophets that have sprung up, and we wonder how many of these people really heard from God. The Old Testament has a list of prophets. There's the major prophets of Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, and several what we call minor prophets like Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. But these modern prophets, I can't even give you a list of them, the great number that they are. And a strange aspect about them is that they have the prosperity message, the feel-good kind of message, live your best life now, and so on. But if we compare them to the prophets of the Old Testament, of the Bible, those prophets were sent by God with great warnings and prophecies of what is to happen or what will happen when the people did not carry out or they reject God's rulings and commandments. If we compare the prophets of today to those prophets, there's something a little bit off. These modern prophets, instead of warning the people of deception, of God's wrath for the sins that are increasing in the world, they are talking mostly about prosperity, feel good, get well, a great life, be rich, and so on. So that's the first issue that I need to just bring up here. Another point is, if we look at the Bible's always got guidance for us, even on this issue. In the book 1 John chapter 4, there's guidance there as to how to be careful of false prophets or prophets in general who claim to be coming from God. Chapter 4, 1 John goes like this. Dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. This is how you can recognize the Spirit of God. Every spirit that acknowledges that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God. But every spirit that does not acknowledge Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist. Now, that's a very good test as to establish whether the people with messages to us are from God. Another point I want to mention here is that in the Christian world, a lot of us are actually seeing it only from the one aspect. The word false prophets have gone out into the world makes us think that testing the spirits is that we just test the people who come with theological messages and teachings. But every means every. So people, all kinds of people carry or bring a spirit with them. So even in the political realm, social realm, economics, business and trade and commerce, education and science. Um, those people can also be prophets of those, let's call it, expertise. And we find, for instance, in the political realm, there are politicians who carry messages and they are not from God. They reject that Jesus Christ has come in the body to the world. And because of that, their messages are not from God. I'd like to touch on, for instance, science, because in the last 3 years we have been confronted with something in science on a big, major scale. That medical procedure that we had to take. Those people who are propagating and perpetrating and pushing and persuading can be categorized as false prophets or prophets, because they needed to be tested, because the word says, test every spirit if they be from God. And sad to say, in many instances, some of those big leaders who have been pushing that procedure are not from God. If you research them and try to find out more about them, many of them are atheists, or they don't accept that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh. So that's the one thing, and then to the point that even they use the church and Christ's name to push something in science that could be tricking and misguiding people in the church. So if we look at it, for instance, that in some countries the church buildings and halls were used for the conducting of those medical procedures, and the leaders in some of those churches were actually encouraging the people to trust in the science, rather, and claim that God would want them to do that, and there are maybe very big questions around that. So I just wanted to bring these ideas. I hope that you understood what I'm saying, understand what I'm trying to say. Test every spirit. Every is not necessarily only the people that preach the word. It's the people who preach other things in politics, in science, in education, social politics, everything. They're coming with a message, and the big one is the media. The media have been pushing certain things, and many of the people in the media reject the idea that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh. So take notice of that, because we are not over this thing. There seems to be a battle for the minds of people, as I mentioned in the previous video, and this battle is raging in the present time. So I'd like to just leave you with that to reflect on, and wish you a very good day further.